Don't blink.
Tonight in the news, thousands of people gather outside Buckingham Palace to pay their respects to the Queen and welcome King Charles III.
Today is a profoundly sad day.
The British High Commission in Uganda mourns the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
We extend our condolences to the British royal family, the people of Great Britain.
Also tonight, Buganda Kingdom has joined mourners across the globe to pay tribute to Queen Elizabeth II, who died at Balmoral Castle on Thursday. In sports, all weekend's Premier League games have been postponed following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. One event continues to dominate news across the globe. That is the death of Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II of Britain. Messages continue to come from leaders, religious, civil and customary. Starting us off today, King Charles III received a warm reception as he made his way past the crowds gathered outside Buckingham Palace. The king was offered bouquets of flowers and a kiss on the cheek as he shook hands with the crowd gathered to receive him. Thousands of people have gathered outside Buckingham Palace to pay their respects to the Queen and welcome King Charles III. The king's car has pulled up just outside the gates of Buckingham Palace, and he and the Queen Camilla have stepped out to greet people who have gathered outside.
Behind his typewriter. He was covered in bruises. It looked as if he'd run into a brick wall at 90 miles an hour. I said to him, "What on earth happened to you?" In a deadpan voice, the clerk explained he'd taken his wife out to the pub when 3 troublemakers entered. During the evening, these troublemakers picked a fight with the couple and began to insult his wife. He said, no, sir, you don't understand. My wife and I could take that. But when they began to insult the Queen, that's when I got stuck in. I gave him the day off. Of course, it was not just the military who adored Her Majesty. The outpouring of grief from every corner of the world is testament to the level of respect and affection Her Majesty was held in. The Queen has been an integral part of my life and all our lives for so long. She has been the linchpin of our country, and her devotion to duty and country has been so extraordinary that I suspect many of us have taken her for granted. And like so many things we take for granted, it's not until we lose them that we fully appreciate their value. And as I drove up today in the car, I couldn't help thinking that her parting reminds us all to hold dear to those we love and to keep saying we love them. So on behalf of my constituents, my family, my friends, rest in peace, Your Majesty. God save the King.
Sarah Jones.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of my constituents of Croydon Central to offer our condolences to the family of the late Queen Elizabeth and to offer our loyalty to the new King. Queen Elizabeth II, who reigned for 70 years, was the only sovereign that most of us have ever known. She was our constant in a changing world, our cornerstone at times of crisis, and our comfort when in sorrow. My Nana was a big fan. My mum, who's 70 this year, remembers as a child being read books about the young princesses and looking at photos of them all the time. I think the war years made that generation feel particularly close to the young Queen. The Queen was a friend to Croydon. She visited many times in her reign. I remember precisely how exciting that was, as a brownie lining up with my flag to welcome her when she opened the Queen's Gardens in the middle of my constituency. Few things in my suburban childhood topped a visit from the Queen. Of course, it's not just Croydon and this country who are mourning. The world is in sorrow. The front page of the New York Times this morning simply says, "Queen and Spirit of a Nation." And many of us find it hard to imagine Britain without her. It feels bleak. But then I think, what would she do? And what did she do when her own father, King George VI, died? And I know she would stand tall, face the day, pray to her God, and do the best job she could.
Yep.
And as the King has said this evening, she would fearlessly embrace progress. And that is the spirit we all keep alive. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Quite literally, as it turns out, she was once heard to say that wearing a crown is like wearing a 10-pound salmon on your head. But she bore the weight well. Her service, her humility, her constancy is what we can all strive to achieve. The Queen's death comes at a time of real challenge for our country. If ever we needed to be more like her, it is now. So let one of her legacies be that we will all try to be a little more like her. Service, steady progress, humility, constancy, and some fun along the way. None of us will see another Queen in our lifetime. So we say thank you to Her late Majesty, and God save the King.
Steve Bryan.
Quietness will return to St Paul's when the crowd has gone appropriately for a service devoid of pomp, even at a moment when the crown has passed from mother to son. The King's message, as we've heard, set the tone, and in the last hour for a congregation spanning generations, cultures, and no doubt religious affiliations too, this has been a reflective service and not for a moment ostentatious. For the Cathedral Church of London, surely an illustration of its purpose, in good times and bad, to allow people to come together. Royal occasions can almost never manage this kind of spontaneity, but today St Paul's has been able to catch something of the amalgam of the private and public that we've all seen and heard and experienced for ourselves in these last 24 hours. This time in the cathedral, however, has been peaceful, maybe reassuring, which it was meant to be. People who were here will remember this day. The King's words will rest as evidence of the way he wants the country to remember the Queen and perhaps the challenges that face him now. All this hovers in the air of this beautiful building under Christopher Wren's spreading dome, a place that is...
Welcome once again. I'm Kalachi Brian with Isaac Luchams on Sign Language. This is PM Edition. President Museveni has cancelled his scheduled trip to the United Kingdom to take part of the 50 years commemoration of the expulsion of Indians from Uganda by former President Idi Amin. In his condolence message following the death of Queen Elizabeth II, Museveni hailed the Queen's reconciliatory leadership. Here is more.
In her use of the soft power she possessed, forced the late Mzee Arap Moi and myself to sit on the same dinner table with her presiding, in spite of the tension between Kenya and us at that time. Only last night, I saw her driving in a ceremonial car with Nelson Mandela, a long-time victim of colonialism in South Africa. I also saw her pictures visiting Northern Ireland and shaking hands with the former Irish Republican Army leaders, and yet that organization had planted bombs that had killed her uncle, Field Marshal Lord Mountbatten. That was part of her contribution to the mutating world efforts for reconciliation.
The British High Commissioner to Uganda, Her Excellency Kate Eri, pays tribute to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, who has been on the throne for 70 years. Flags at the British Embassy in Kamocha are flying at half-mast.
It's an atmosphere of grief at the Embassy of the United Kingdom in Kampala following the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II yesterday. The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral Castle on Thursday afternoon at the age of 96. Her death shocked many people across the world. The British High Commissioner to Uganda, Kate Eri, told CTV that Her Majesty has been the longest-serving great leader and, indeed, has been a great servant.
Today is a profoundly sad day for the British people, for the people of the realms, for the people of the Commonwealth, for people across the world. Her Majesty the Queen was our longest serving ever monarch at 70 years on the throne. She has seen phenomenal change over that time of coming to the throne in 1952. And I think one of the things that has been profoundly moving over the last few hours has just been the outpouring of messages of condolence, of admiration, of love for Her Majesty, from leaders, world leaders past and present, from people across society in all countries of the world.
Kate says since British had many of their colonies under the Commonwealth, the late Queen has been taking other countries as part of a big family in terms of cooperation.
She was a remarkable leader, a public servant who put duty and service above all else and is an inspiration absolutely to many. She is also, and we need to remember this today, a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, and we at the British High Commission offer our profound condolences to the royal family at this period of time.
To the British people living in Uganda, Kate extended condolences to them.
The links between the UK and Uganda are broad and they are deep and they are strong. This is a difficult time to be away from home. We are recognised that not just for the British community, actually because of Her Majesty's unique role within the Commonwealth, many Ugandans also have a deep, profound feeling. Uganda is a country that respects monarchy, and again, that connection with the British monarchy is very real.
As the world mourns, flags at the British Embassy are flying at half-mast. The Queen steered the monarchy through turbulent times as Britain's empire ended and its place in the world fundamentally changed. She was head of state of the UK and 14 other countries, including Australia, Canada, and Jamaica.
The Kingdom of Uganda has joined monarchs across the globe to pay tribute to Queen Elizabeth II. The Kingdom says her 7-decade leadership has had a great positive legacy in Uganda and Uganda at large. Take a look.
Queen Elizabeth II has been the longest leader who has spent 70 years on the reign of United Kingdom.
Queen Elizabeth II was born Princess Elizabeth.
Uganda's Katikiro Charles Peter Mayiga says the United Kingdom has a deep relationship with the kingdom because before the formation of Uganda, Uganda had interacted with the British monarchy.
Considered a long shot for the crown himself.
Mayiga says Buganda Kingdom is mourning because she played a big role in the development of Uganda.
In all these roles, Queen Elizabeth clearly knew her responsibilities and duties. She very well knew that leadership is about finding solutions to challenges. She knew that leadership implies making sacrifices. In her 70-year reign as monarch, as head of Great Britain and the Commonwealth, she has carried out her public responsibilities with courage and dignity. We extend our condolences to the British royal family, the people of Great Britain, and members of the Commonwealth.
Maiga told journalists at Bulange Mengo that Queen Elizabeth II has been a great and exemplary leader who aspired to make people to live in harmony.
Queen Elizabeth has been a leader who clearly appreciated that leadership means responsibility. I think Queen Elizabeth has been a kind of leader who clearly understood that leadership implies carrying out such duties, that being in a position like the one she has been occupying entails.
Queen Elizabeth visited Uganda from 28th to 30th April 1954 and again from 21st to 24th November in 2007. She, in 2007, came to attend the Commonwealth Heads of Government meetings.
In Kampala, a school which sets out not just to educate its pupils in the tradition.
PM Edition takes a special break. When we return, more news.
Three words: convenience, passion, and pride. Introducing the KCCA app made for you to interact with the best football club in Uganda, giving you the latest news, transfers, membership options, merchandise online shop, match ticket bookings, and fan zone instant messaging. To download the beta app, go to Google Play Store on your Android and search for KCFC. Download the app, sign up, and voila, you're in. Yes, the app is only available for Android users. iOS users, we are coming soon. The KCCFC app, inspired by you, made for you.
Welcome back. Thank you for watching PM Edition on CTV. Now, the fallen Queen Elizabeth II came to Uganda twice. The first time was when she came with the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, in 1954 to commission the Owen Falls Dam. In 2007, she came back to attend the Commonwealth Heads of Government meetings that was held in Kampala City. The meeting attracts leaders of former British colonies and other countries that willingly join. Here are some of the highlights of her visit.
The then Governor of Uganda, His Excellency Sir Andrew Cohen, stated as follows.
Now, the long rule of Queen Elizabeth II was marked by her strong sense of duty and her determination to dedicate her life to her throne and to her people. Her success in maintaining the monarchy through such turbulent times was even more remarkable, given that at the time of her birth, no one could ever have foreseen that the throne could be her destiny. Have a look. Mayor's Hall rest in internal peace. Now, members of Parliament on the Parliamentary Natural Resources Committee have asked government to cancel land titles in wetlands and other areas that are crucial to environmental protection. The lawmakers say that Uganda's wetlands and forests have been degraded by individuals and companies that are illegally issued with land titles. The MPs were discussing the impact of climate change in Uganda. The details.
A number of places are now experiencing floods. A case in point was in Bali. A case in point was in Pakwach, Onwoya. A case in point is in Kasese. But the one of Kasese had been very persistent for very long. We had been experiencing the outburst of River Nyamwamba for a very, very long time. We had been experiencing landslide in the Elgon region for a very, very long time. And therefore, these are some of the current issues that are going on. But above all, I want us to note that when climate change disasters like floods, drought happen, they come with a lot of damage.
Some of us who have lived for some time, in the past, these plastics were not there. We used to use our clay. We had pots we used to use for carrying water. We used to have paper bags or banana leaves when we are going to buy things from the shops. But now those things are no longer in use. So unless we ourselves become sensitive and know that we are destroying our own environment, what will happen in 100 years to come? Uganda may become also a desert. Yet, as you know, we have been a very fertile place.
Climate change, it concerns everyone, but unfortunately, few of us give attention to it. When we talk of a resilient and robust climate, we must have efforts. For instance, we are talking of net zero carbon. How shall we achieve it? We are talking of Paris Agreement model. How shall we evolve?
Angolan President-elect João Lourenço will be sworn in as president after court validation of the election results. The opposition in Angola maintains its stand that the presidential elections were not free and fair. In South Africa, women and couples are worried about the imminent unwanted pregnancies after a record of continuing reports of contraceptive stockouts. Take a look. The Constitution Court in Angola validated the results of the general elections and confirmed the People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola's victory. In the ruling that responded to the appeal filed by UNITA, it said that the evidence presented does not allow to put in question the advantage of the Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola, MPLA, declared by the National Electoral Commission. President-elect João Lourenço will then take office on September 15th, as announced by the presidents. The leader of the largest opposition party, Adalberto Costa Jr., disputes the results, which leave him about 7% short of the votes allocated to Lourenço, which stand at over 51%, and give UNITA 90 MPs, double the seats they won in 2017. MPLA is credited with 124 parliamentary seats. 5 opposition parties, including UNITA, said in a statement on Thursday that they were considering organizing peaceful demonstrations to contest the election result. They also said they reserved the right to bring the dispute before other bodies. 4 of the 16 members of the CNE did not sign the final election results, expressing doubts about the electoral process. Foreign observers had expressed concerns about the electoral lists in particular. South Africa is facing a shortage of birth control stock at public health facilities. A 2022 independent study by the Rishides Project, a community-led clinic monitoring organization, indicates that stockouts of contraceptives represented 40% of all medicine stockouts reported. Rural Doctors Association of South Africa says this poses a huge risk for unplanned pregnancy. Dr. Indira Govenda, a Rural Doctors Association of South Africa member, said information on depleted birth control stocks was sourced from 400 primary healthcare facilities in South Africa. Healthcare workers in public health institutions have been forced to give patients alternative birth control. However, health rights experts say this is not a sustainable solution due to side effects like hormonal changes. Ordinary South Africans believe failure to meet birth control stocks threatens the reproductive health of women and families. Johannesburg-based Thando Cuba and Amanda Magazi believe the Department of Health should focus its energy on ensuring there are sufficient stocks throughout the country's public healthcare facilities. Magazi said the birth control stock shortage is not good at all because girls these days fall pregnant at a young age. You find that these young girls are still in school. The birth control shortage will also cause these young girls to drop out of school. In response to questions over the shortage of birth control, South Africa's Department of Health issued an official statement saying they are not aware of any supply constraints and that the supply plan indicates that suppliers have sufficient stock to meet the demand. Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping will meet for the first time since Russia invaded Ukraine in February. And Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has confirmed the arrest of one of the leaders of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levante, codenamed Abu Zaid. Here is more. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin are expected to meet next week in Uzbekistan as Beijing and Moscow ramp up economic cooperation in the face of Western-led censure and sanctions. The two leaders are due to meet on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit taking place September 15th to 16th. The meeting is the latest signal of warming ties between China and Russia, which have declared a no-limits friendship amid mounting economic challenges at home and increasingly strained relations with the United States and its allies overseas. On Tuesday, Russia's state-run energy giant Gazprom said it had signed an agreement with China to settle payments of gas in yuan and rubles instead of US dollars, part of a push by Moscow to lessen its reliance on the US financial system after being hit with numerous rounds of sanctions over its war in Ukraine. The meeting also comes just weeks before Xi is expected to secure an unprecedented third term in power at a key ruling Communist Party Congress set for mid-October. Russia's economy has been battered by wide-ranging sanctions, with the gross domestic product falling by 4% in the second quarter. Beijing has declined to condemn Moscow's invasion and has opposed sanctions targeting a broad swath of the Russian economy. Erdogan said Turkish security forces have arrested a senior figure of ISIL, Islamic State of Iraq and the Levante. The commander, who is codenamed Abu Zaid, was captured in Turkey in an operation carried out by police and Turkey's intelligence agency. Erdogan told journalists on his return from a three-nation tour to the Balkans. Abu Zaid's real name is Bashar Hattab Ghazal al-Sumaidai and was identified by a United Nations Security Council report published in July as one of the senior executives of the ISIL terrorist organization. Turkish media reported that al-Sumaidai may in fact be the man known as Abu Hassan al-Hashimi al-Quraishi, an Iraqi who is the new leader of the entire ISIL group. However, Erdogan only referred to al-Sumaidai as a top ISIL official in Syria. Turkish media quoted Erdogan as saying in his interrogation, he also stated that he was a so-called judge of the so-called Ministry of Education and Ministry of Justice. Erdogan did not say when the commander had been captured, but was quoted by Anadolu agency as saying that the commander was transferred to judicial authorities in Turkey after his interrogation by police and intelligence personnel. After a meteoric rise in 2014 in Iraq and Syria that saw it conquer vast swaths of territory, ISIL collapsed under a wave of offensives. It was defeated in Iraq in 2017 and in Syria 2 years later, but sleeper cells of the group still carry out attacks in both countries. Syria's war began in 2011 and has killed nearly 500,000 people and forced about half of the country's pre-war population from their homes. Minutes past 9 p.m. We take a short break. When we return, sports news.
CTV is now on StarTimes. You can now catch all your favorite programs, our daily comprehensive news bulletins, and so much more on StarTimes channel number 248. Stay tuned for a world of endless possibilities. CTV. Don't blink.
Thank you for not blinking on CTV. Now, sports news. This weekend's Premier League games have been postponed following the death of Queen Elizabeth II yesterday. CTV, together with Champion Bet, takes you through the games in other leagues such as La Liga, Bundesliga, and the Serie A that will take place over the weekend. Have a look.
As a mark of respect, the English Premier League has postponed this weekend's Premier League games after the death of Queen Elizabeth II of England, who was aged 96. The world of football, however, will not stop in other countries such as La Liga in Spain, where match week 5 will take place starting tonight until Sunday. Defending champions and current table toppers Real Madrid will be optimistic of maintaining their perfect start to the season as the only side to have maximum points, having 4 wins from 4 in the league so far. The European champions host Mallorca at the Bernabeu on Sunday, looking to stretch their unbeaten run against Mallorca, having won 5 of the last fixtures between these two sides in La Liga. Barcelona, who sit in second, just 2 points behind Real Madrid on 10 points, are on the road as they play Cadiz. Cadiz are looking to register a 3rd consecutive home win against a Barcelona side that are high on confidence, especially new signing Robert Lewandowski.
3 minutes later, after Joshua Kimmich's corner was cleared back out to him.
In Germany, defending champions Bayern Munich host Stuttgart, looking to get back to winning ways after back-to-back draws in their 2 previous fixtures in the Bundesliga. They currently sit in 3rd on 11 points after 5 games. The biggest game in Germany will be the late kickoff on Saturday as RB Leipzig entertain Borussia Dortmund at the Red Bull Arena. Dortmund, who sit in second with 12 points, will be in search for a first win at the Red Bull Arena in 4 matches.
Cuadrado curls it to the back. And the driven shot is put in.
In the Italian Serie A, record champions Juventus host debutants Salernitana on Sunday night, looking to get their season back on track after picking up just 9 points after 5 games, which leaves them in 7th position at the moment. Defending champions AC Milan are on the road to Sampdoria on Saturday, looking to make it a 4th straight win in the league against Sampdoria. Dennis Ndani, the marketing manager for Champion Bet, who opened up a new branch today in Wankulukuku, gives his opinion and betting advice ahead of the games this weekend.
And having seen Leipzig decide to fire their manager, I don't think they are ready enough to host Dortmund. It may be a challenging game for them, but usually with new clubs acquiring a manager, they will pretend to be a threat. Basing on the start of the La Liga season, especially for Real Madrid, and the team setup, the new acquisitions they have, I believe they have a bigger advantage. They've gone clean without having a loss throughout the beginning of the season. So I don't think there's any threat from Maloka.
Noah Walakira, CTV, PM edition.
He has now reached superstar status.
That's a wrap for tonight's PM edition. I'll be here tomorrow same time. I'm Kalachi Brian with Isaac Luchams. We wish you a good night.